Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, welcome to the program. It's a Wednesday, I believe, and it's May 22nd, and it's the day after a primary election, and the results were, I think, very interesting and pleasantly surprising, because what they showed, even though it was an abysmal voter turnout, what they showed was that the electorate is wanting to throw the bums out, I think. And you can define bum as anybody who's been there for a bit. Now, granted, a lot of incumbents survived, but people with the backing of the mayor and of county executive Fitzgerald and all the establishment entities lost. That's not completely true, because one of Peduto's picks knocked off his biggest tormentor on city council throughout his mayoralty, and that is the North Side's Darlene Harris. She got beat. I mean, really beat by a guy named Bobby Wilson, who I know nothing about, but that's a big district that goes from the North Side into, up into the north, what I think of as the North Hills, because it's north of the North Side and it's hilly. That's the North Hills. Also, an extraordinary upset of a guy who has been on the Allegheny County Council since the Allegheny Council was formed, and that is former pro wrestler John DeFazio. Jumpin' Johnny, I believe. I don't know. Johnny DeFazio. He got blown out by a young woman named Bethany Hallen, who has no political experience, who has, I think she's in her 20s. She is, interestingly, I'm trying to, I don't know anything about her except when she speaks about giving a voice to the voiceless. She was herself an opioid addict. She was put in the Allegheny County Prison, I think because of a parole violation. I don't know. And she comes out of nowhere. I think she's 28 years old and beats the 78-year-old Jumpin' Johnny DeFazio for an at-large seat on the Allegheny County Council. She's got fingernails of different colors. I bet she's got tattoos in places too. And so the voters, and that's at large. So that's all. That is county voters going for an absolute unknown with a jail sentence, 28 years old. And if that isn't an indication of a restive population, I don't know what is. I have to tell you, I voted for her. I voted for her not knowing anything about her. I voted for her because I saw a woman's name, and because Jumpin' Johnny DeFazio, I'd seen a picture of him earlier in the week, and he looked to be about 110. And I thought, Time to try something new here. Huh. So, anyway, it's pretty amazing. She did not have money. He did. He had the advantage of incumbency. He had the endorsement of all the unions. He had state senators and reps. He had County Executive Fitzgerald. I guess I'm starting to think if County Executive Fitzgerald endorses you, you should run. So, I don't know. I don't know exactly what this means, but there were some very interesting upsets. And we'll have to get to know Bethany Hallam a little bit more, because the article I'm looking at doesn't tell me much. It says here, she has misdemeanor offenses related to addiction painkillers, and she was jailed for a while. And she was quite open about that. So, interesting. Also, I was interested in a race for the school board, Pittsburgh School Board, and these kinds of positions that we're talking about here, city council, school board, county council, these are important positions. This is where so much of the stuff that impacts our lives happens. And this is what so many American voters can't seem to get through their thick skulls. But I had felt that in my district for the school board that it was clearly going to be a tight race. You could just tell from the yard signs. In fact, there were more than, as I walked my dog, there was more than one house that had a sign for each of the two women vying for the. So they had Batista here, and they had why am I blanking on her name? Harbin, I think, here. I don't think I said that right, and I voted for her. She's the one who interrupted my watching Jeopardy Monday night, and annoyed me initially because she rang my doorbell, and then I ended up getting in a very interesting conversation with her, and that conversation drew me to her, and Pam Harbin. And she, too, is somebody who has not held elective office before. Both women running in that district were incredible resumes. Wow. It's too bad that they both can't have seats. I guess I said that yesterday. But the insurgent would have been Pam Harbin. The one who was not expected to win was Pam Harbin. But that was a grassroots campaign that was really impressive, and she knocked off, again, the endorsed candidate, the one who had the school board president, the holder of the incumbent who was not running, one and the same person. She had Peduto, she had Fitzgerald. She lost. So anyway, my congratulations to these winners, and especially to these young women who are stepping up. So 3 first-time candidates won primaries for the Pittsburgh Public School Board seats. In some cases, they will not face competition in the general election. So I wanted to say something about that and say that it makes me wonder if, as we think about knocking off the guy in the White House, if we should have the courage to think outside the box. I mean, the courage to not go with what is safe, because the people who are going with what is safe seem to be losing a lot. As I said, increasingly restive and angry electorate wants change. And I think change looks young, looks female, right? That's why Joe Biden really worries me. I like Joe Biden, but he worries me. He's the safe choice. Hillary was a safe choice, right? I mean, we're always going safe and getting clobbered. The Republicans didn't go safe. Look who they nominated. Donald effing Trump. And he won. And the one-time Democrats really decided, screw it, we're going with this guy. A guy who had barely served even half a term in the U.S. Senate, black, a Muslim name, Barack Obama, Hussein Obama, and he won. I think we need to remember this, that the old, the pundits who say, well, when this happens, that always happens, and this is an indicator of that. I don't think they know any more now than we do, than you, me, anybody. I think the traditions, the norms, all of the things that we relied upon to sort of feel like we understood what was happening, it's all blown up. So, don't know. I would like to get some things off my chest, if you don't mind. 2 pet peeves that they're in my head because they both happened yesterday. One took my breath away. I'm not kidding. Took my breath away. I was going home after voting, and I turned onto my street. Volume is very low, I'm being told. I don't know if that, Barbara, I don't know if that's you, or I'm not hearing that from anybody else. Just putting it out there if anybody else wants to say anything. I turned onto my street, and I always, how, there it is, your street. There's a view that you appreciate because it's your street and you walk the street. The trees, there are all these touchstones, my street. On my street, many of the trees, and this truly troubles me, and it can't just be my street, seem to be dying. They're old. They're struggling in an urban environment which is, with concrete around them and salt in the winter and and pesticides and all, whatever. They're dying. And maybe some of them are old enough, in fact, to die. But the healthiest tree, the most extraordinary of trees, a tree that I sometimes would just stop and stare at because it was so beautiful. It's an evergreen of some kind, I don't know. My God, it was beautiful, and I'm talking in the past tense because the SOBs whose property that tree stood on killed it. They cut it down. I truly believe that the cutting down of a healthy, mature tree is a crime. Is a crime. And one so beautiful. I mean, this, it's hard to describe. If I turned onto my street, and what I saw was this like 40, 50 foot just trunk with all of its arms cut off. I felt like I was looking at a massacre site. I am not kidding you when I say it took my breath away. It was like being punched in the stomach. There is no reason that tree should have been taken down. It was not a threat to that house. It was strong. It was beautiful. It was a gift. And some SOB. By the way, the people that cut it down are the only people on my street that had a Trump sign out. I'm just saying, I wasn't particularly inclined to like them. A young couple, 2 children. And they cut down the most beautiful tree in the neighborhood. I really feel like I had to go to a dentist appointment right after. And I was even talking with my mouth open. I was still saying, I want to kill him! I want to kill him! I'm sorry. It's Arborside. That's what it would be, right? Arborside. Bastards. Yeah, I'm thinking, what could it be? What could it be? What possibly could have made them do that? Obviously, no ability to appreciate beauty. Extraordinary beauty. Were they what? Wanting more light in a room in their house? I don't know. There is no possible explanation that would pass muster with me. And they left standing a deciduous, old, dying tree. Clearly unhealthy tree. They took down that. I'm sorry. I know you don't care. I mean, you might, but I'm just. I felt like I wanted to report a crime. A crime. Anyone who can cut down a healthy, gorgeous, 70, 80, who knows what, 100-year-old tree. Like that. Bang, poof. Gone in a day. It was gone. It's gone. There's nothing there now. Something really wrong. Something really seriously wrong. Okay, so that's my one. Damn it. And every day when I turn onto my street, I'm going to be gut punched. And here's the weird thing. So I was at the dentist, and I'm talking to the dental hygienist, is that what's pronounced, about this, and I'm outraged. And I know she lives in the neighborhood herself. And then she began to talk about, those two really big trees in front of that house, and she described exactly where. I said, oh, yeah. She said, well, the woman in that house comes to me as well to have her teeth cleaned, and she's getting very frightened that a storm could take one of those trees down on her house. And she's told me that every time there's a wind, that she wonders, is this the time I'm going to die because one of these trees is going to fall on me? I heard that, and I got sick. I said, you tell her. That's my tree. That's my tree. That was the tree that I've talked about as mine. That's the tree I can't walk by without touching and saying hi. The dental hygienist said, oh, well, I'll tell her. She did say that people seem to like that tree, that it has like this carved out thing at the base of it, and she's seen people put their young babies or children tucked into it and take pictures. And I said, I have a picture. I have a picture of my son nestled in that tree. And then I told her, you tell that woman that those two trees, I happen to know, are the only two trees of their species in the city. I got that from Tree Pittsburgh, the organization. They do a census. They know every tree. I want to report these jerks on my street who took down that tree. Absolutely. I think they're the only two bur oaks in the city. Who wrote that poem? Woodsman, spare that tree. Oh, is that the Kilmer poem? Yeah. Is that how it starts? Woodsman, spare that tree. Only God can make a tree. But us human beings, we can destroy her glorious creation. Bang, in a day. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry about the tree. I can't help it. Okay. The other pet peeve, I got my bill from Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority. Oh, I have a caller. I forgot. Is the caller still there? All right. Hello, caller.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike in D.C.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I forgot. I was too busy.
That's okay. You tree hugger.
Damn! Who wouldn't be?
So I live in a really wooded lot in the suburbs outside of D.C. It's really wooded. I bought the place because it's really wooded. I've been here for 7 years, and every year or so, somebody new moves into the neighborhood, and the first thing they do is cut down every tree on their lot. And I have to listen to it because I work from home, and I have to hear knowing that this cannot be replaced in my lifetime.
What is with people?
And I look back on my lot, and it's lovely. It's like a park. And why they want to cut it down only to grow grass for which they then have to pay someone to cut it is beyond me.
And spread pesticides on
Particularly
the
bec-
grass so that it looks, and kill all the, the biodiversity that was living in their grass and under the ground there. And a tree in this era of global warming, do you know trees are,
Right.
it just makes me crazy.
$35 a year, one tree on your property will reduce your heating, your cooling costs in your house. It doesn't even have to shade your house. Just being 100 or 10 or 20 feet from your house, it will cool the air around that tree, and it will cool your house. It will save you $35 a year. So pretend you don't like them. Pretend you don't want the leaves or whatever. And the people who cut down in my neighborhood, I laugh because I think they think leaves are a problem. And in Fairfax County, where I live,
wait, excuse me. They think leaves are a problem because they fall?
right. And in their defense, in the fall, we have mounds of leaves on the street that are bigger than a semi-truck. That's how wooded our lots are. But what gets me is you can cut every tree off of your property you want. Guess what? Leaves from your
Leaves
next
travel.
door neighbor is going to come on your property.
Exactly.
So for whatever reason, they want it to be like that 1950s, no tree, no lots, everything cleared.
How could anybody
you
think
want-
that is good? How could anybody want that?
And if you do, there are plenty of houses on lots without a tree. Plenty of them. That's what most developers do. Is they go in and cut every darn tree out of the place and put little houses on them. So there are hundreds of lots with no trees on them. So you come to this one, and that's the first thing you do. It astonishes me. In D.C., now everybody hates D.C., right? Nasty D.C., D.C. this, D.C. that. If you want to cut down a tree on your property in D.C., you have to call the city and say, can I cut this tree down?
Good.
They come and they look at that tree. They inspect it to see if it's dying, if it can be fixed, if you have to get it treated with some pesticide or whatnot before you're allowed to cut that tree down. And if you cut it down and you don't give permission in writing, you are fined some astronomical price.
Oh, how wonderful.
And that's what we need. We want the city to say, these trees are on your property, but they belong to all of us.
Yes.
They increase the value of your house.
Why isn't that something we have? It shouldn't be allowed.
Because we're too busy. Because regulations are bad. Didn't you hear regulations are bad?
And
Right? We shouldn't have any regulations, not even in planes. Plane companies should be able to put whatever in the air they want if it can get them $6 more per flight.
And we value
So it's the
property.
regulation thing.
So if private property, we value that more than global health and the beauty of community. When your tree, did they not realize that their tree was beloved? I guess not.
They don't care.
Oh.
They wanted a house on a lot. And when you said they were a new family, I think they wanted a house on a lot where the precious little Darlene can run on the sidewalk and throw a ball and don't have to be worried about that nasty tree, which is fine. Then buy a house on a lot with no trees.
Dear God.
It infuriates me. And it's so stupid because nobody goes looking at a house and said, I saw the cutest neighborhood. There wasn't a tree in sight.
Oh.
Everyone who looks at these houses says, my, what a lovely street. Look at all these trees and look at the outline of the tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And here's the other thing. Do you know how many animals, squirrels, birds, were living in that? I mean, it's odd. It's odd. The same house does have
foxes in our neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have foxes in our neighborhood. We have deer in our neighborhood. We have an owl in our neighborhood that hoots at night. Hoo, hoo. And all of those animals have to eat things, and they live in probably, because my backyard, I'm looking now, is probably the only backyard that has not been totally deforested. And everyone says, don't you love when you see the deer? Well, yeah, but you got to have a place where they can eat.
Dear God.
Look how cute that fox is. Oh my God, that's a fox. Yeah, but you got to have a place where its prey can live, and they don't live on a suburban lot.
I'm sorry. My contempt for people who do not appreciate the glory of nature is I'm sorry. I like to think of myself as an empath. I can't get in their shoes to save my life. I cannot comprehend. Cannot. Well, hey, Mike, thank you, and I'm so glad I'm not alone.
Well, one more thought on this. If it is just capitalism, you don't care about the environment. Having a wooded lot draws people to your house and makes your house more valuable.
Duh.
I don't understand why people don't get that concept.
Duh. Okay. Thank you.
I'm out.
Bye. Bye. Bree writes from Dubai. He says, you're right. My mom's house in the South Hills is the only one in the neighborhood where she kept all the trees. Everybody else cut them down. Exactly what Mike in D.C. is talking about. It's unbelievable, says Bree. She's the longest resident on the block, and the house looks so awesome with all that vegetation. But none of the neighbors clearly see that. What? Kathleen writes, I literally feel your pain. The pain is real and honest. A friend of mine told me the story of an ancient oak that stood on her parents' property. Her sister, a true hostile mental case, bought the property from her parents and immediately had the tree cut down. That was over 30 years ago. My friend has never stopped mourning the loss of that tree. My acquaintances, Kathleen says, in the Lakota Sioux tribe believe that all living things are equal in creation. They call trees the standing people. Oh, it makes me want to cry. The standing people who stand and do so much for us, and these imbeciles, these ungrateful imbeciles, about 10 years ago, a adjoining neighbor, they're now gone, that house seems to turn over a lot, told me that he wanted to cut down this big tree in his backyard that shaded part of my backyard. Big old beautiful oak. And I, who am not known to, I went berserk. I said, oh my God, you can't do that. Well, I'm worried about, some of the branches are over the roof of I said, so prune a little bit. You can't take an old tree down for no reason. You can't. Please, God, I'm begging you. I was begging him. He didn't. And now he's gone, and I haven't heard any more talk about taking that tree down. My God. What is wrong with people? All right, so I get to my next pet peeve. And this has to do just with stupidity of management. This is my bill from the Water and Sewer Authority, which, as we know, has been mismanaged so much that there's talk of privatizing it. Nobody knows what the hell to do. The odds are that our sewer and water bills are going to quadruple in the next 15 years, 10 years, maybe 5, I don't know. I mean, just unbelievable mismanagement. And every month, I'm reminded of, every month they send me an envelope, a bill, and in it is my bill, usually 2 pages for some reason, 2 pages of paper, and also sometimes a little thing, promotional thing of some sort. And then, how kind of them, a return envelope to send my payment. However, on the very front of my bill are the same words every month for years and years and years and years and years. Right under where it says the amount I owe, it says in big black letters, "Do not pay." You know why it says that? The second line will tell you. Do not pay. Your account is set on auto pay. So I'm thinking, then why are you sending me an envelope? Now, maybe this is not a big thing, but can you imagine all the envelopes, I'm sorry, that these idiots have been sending out for decades to people they tell, don't use that envelope we sent you. I'm paying for the goddamn envelopes that I don't need, that they know I don't need, and they keep stuffing these envelopes every time. And I'm thinking, I don't know how much one envelope costs. I really don't. But, okay, if I kept these envelopes, I would have a stack pretty dang high by now myself. Maybe my neighbor has the same stack. Maybe you have the same stack. And at a certain point, I am wondering how much all of those totally wasted envelopes, which, by the way, come from trees that are cut down. What stupidity. It is just a common thing. Stop giving me an envelope. Every time you do, it makes me crazy. I think of the waste. I think of the trees. I think of mismanagement. Jesus God Almighty. Gigi writes, oh my gosh, Lynn. I'm not alone. I know exactly what you mean. I live in a neighborhood where people cut down trees because they're too close to my house. A neighbor cut down a beautiful river birch. We plant trees in our yard, says Gigi. Each year we plant a rooted evergreen as our Christmas tree. A neighbor once stopped over and came into our yard and was in awe, asking, how did you get your yard like this? Well, we planted trees. And not the invasive, stinky Bradford pear trees or other trees that don't belong. When that neighbor moved to a new house, we helped her plant some trees. Long live the trees. Barbara sends a Shakespeare quote. One touch of nature makes the whole world kin. Yeah. So. Okay, I don't know. That's it. And there's one other pet peeve. I mean, I just saw it. I've seen this commercial twice. I don't know where it's airing or why I've seen it. Again, my jaw dropped. I was in disbelief. The first time I thought it was a joke. I thought, am I looking at, I thought it was like a commercial, a promo for Saturday Night Live. I did. Because, and maybe it is. Please somebody tell me I'm wrong. And then I saw it again yesterday. Please tell me I'm wrong. And that there is not a new game show, television game show. And I think it's called Pay Off Your Student Debt. And there's this guy, there's people screaming and jumping up and down because they won and they're going to pay their student debt. And that's a show I want to watch? This is how we deal with this extraordinarily serious problem that we have created, where an entire generation of millennials can perhaps never own a home, perhaps can never, all as a result of our inability to have a government that functions, that cares about people. And so we go crazy because some billionaire gets up in front of the commencement, speech, gives the commencement speech at Morehouse College last weekend, and does something truly extraordinary. He informs all of those young men about to go into the world, many of them, if not most, saddled with thousands and tens of thousands of dollars of debt, which, of course, has a great impact on what they choose to do. Because if you got that kind of debt just starting out, you're going to get a job based on who's paying me the most, not on this is what I want to do. This is what I have a passion to do. That, billionaires giving one graduating class or the medical school at, I think, Columbia, you cannot, this is how we're going to tackle these problems. Philanthropy on the one hand, and a game show on the others, where desperate young people compete to have their student debt retired. It's a new kind of Hunger Games. Isn't that like the Hunger Games? I'm being told my video is now ready to view on Facebook. I finally posted my dog, Blue, doing Beethoven on Facebook if you want to have a laugh, because it is funny. Oh my God, Milton, it's true. The new game show is called Paid Off. Hosted by Michael Torpey, who plays Thomas Humphrey on Orange is the New Black. It says Paid Off is a new comedy game show. Comedy? It's a joke? Paid Off is a new comedy game show doing its part to help reduce $1.5 trillion of student loan debt that affects more than 44 million Americans. That's a comedy game show. Okay. Then now you see why I say with utter conviction that we are living in the most toxic, repulsive culture it's like the Hunger Games. That's what we've come to. And it's comedy, and people will turn in to watch and be entertained. I'm sorry, I can't even believe reality anymore. I can't believe it. Okay, caller, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Lynn.
Hi.
This is Roger.
Hi, Roger.
I'd ask how you doing, but I think we know. Anybody remember the Stephen King book, and it became a movie called Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes.
With game show host Richard Dawson, and basically, that and the Hunger Games. It's scary but prophetic. Is this where we're going to go no matter what, or is it out of our control now?
I feel like it is because, I feel like it is. It's a bigger subject than, I'm going to talk about in a minute. I mean, I can't even, I think it is on so many levels. The culture is corroded and corrupted, and it's vile. I mean, it's just vile. The popular culture is vile. What does that say about us? That's us.
Is it pop culture, or is it just the economy, the wealthy, just pushing us in a direction? I mean, higher education is just a symptom, but it stands out like a sore thumb. I mean, you see these wonderful stories about the dean of NYU saying he graduates with a medical degree. It's free tuition free, and that's wonderful. And that's, but I don't know. I mean, I just had a conversation with an accountant this weekend, my neighbor, and he's talking about these stupid degrees like, library science degrees and liberal arts and art majors. Well, how are you supposed to pay the bills? And I said, you're right, but those are worthwhile educational degrees. And if it's being priced out so you can't pay your loan because you become a librarian or work for he's right, but it's also sad. He doesn't agree with me. He thinks those are stupid degrees. But what happened to the
so, I mean, he doesn't think culture, he doesn't think culture has any value. I mean, real culture, the culture of art and dance and all of these stupid things that some people see value in. What kind of a world do these people, they cut down trees, they don't see the value in what, libraries? Like being a librarian is something to be scoffed at? Are you freaking kidding me? It's all of human knowledge in these, you know what? I think we deserve whatever is coming our way, and not to mention what's already here. We are, again, an extraordinarily unserious people.
Well, my apologies to other accountants out there, but they're accountants for a reason. He's a fucking bean counter. He's a nice person, but he does not see the value in art. He does not see, it's just people who don't value science unless it benefits them. Otherwise, it's making us do stupid shit like recycle. And I mean, I could go on and on for this. I'm just so appalled at the lack of forethought and thinking. I don't know. It's depressing. That's why I read stupid fiction books.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that I've been so depressing today. But I mean, these are things that are. I'm only talking about things that have crossed my purview in the last 24 hours.
If that was only the beginning, it's just...
All righty. Roger, nice hearing from you. Sorry.
I'm glad I cheered you up.
Well, look, I'm laughing. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, have a good day.
Bye. No,
Bye-bye.
I'm going to be okay. I'm looking forward to both lunch and dinner with family and friends, and I'm going to have a nice day as much as I possibly can. Go look at my Facebook page and look at my dog singing, because that'll make you happy. And we have another caller. Caller, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Lynn.
Hello.
The last caller, this is Clarence. The last caller prompted this call because I've been thinking about this for the last few months. What we've become is we put stuff before people, no matter what. When he said that, accountant was talking about art and, these are like wasteful degrees, and he talked about culture. And, every time I talk to somebody, they're more interested in how much stuff, how many things, how much money they can make, how many things they can obtain, and it comes before people. If you're arguing with, these migrants, well, who's going to pay for it? We can pay for it. Well, you willing to have your taxes raised? Yeah, these are human beings. Well, I'm not. The guy I'm arguing has a Ferrari, and he, and for his keeping his Ferrari is more important to him than a human life. And he's, of course, he's a supposedly pro-life Republican, also. But that's the most important thing. And like I said last week when I'm talking to kids, I said you might as well go for what you love to do, because that's all you're going to have. If you're worried about making money, forget it. The money's at the top, I don't see it coming down.
There was it reminds me of an article I saw. Didn't read the whole thing. Excuse me. And it was in the New York Times, and it was following African American students who had managed to get to colleges, like maybe even Ivy League colleges, and then how they were. It was how are they doing now? People that were coming out of, they had the brains, but they didn't have the economic resources, blah, 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 blah. And how was that experience, and did they make it? And in the article, one of the guys that was held up as somehow, a failure, I thought was leading the most interesting life. He lived in a one-room place in New York City somewhere. He did not have a fancy-dancy job, but he was surrounded by art that he had created. He was somebody who, to my sense, was living a wonderful life. But because he wasn't, I guess, working for a hedge fund or something, I don't understand any of it anymore. I don't understand people. I don't.
I think it might have started probably way back when, but the 80s, with the the yuppie culture and all that stuff, we're still kind of living in it. It might have started back in, after the World War II, when the commercial culture came in.
Yeah.
And television and, people, if you don't have this, you're not successful. You shouldn't be happy if you don't have that. The so-called American dream. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's.
I think.
As I said before, I jumped out of that rat race, and just yesterday, I was talking to a friend, and they say, "What are you doing today?" I said, "Well, I got to go help take some pictures at my friend's cooking school," and pretty much nothing. So I'm working in, planting some plants and stuff. Oh, I wish I had your life. Oh, that's easy. Drive a 13-year-old car, shop at the Goodwill.
Yeah.
Get rid of your stuff.
Yeah, get rid of all that
Get rid of your
stuff.
stuff. Get rid of all that stuff, and you'll be fine. You can do
Light
it.
on your feet. Yeah. I was talking, you were saying you don't know where it started. You said the 80s. I'm going to go all the way back. I was talking yesterday to a guy I have not laid eyes on in over probably 40 years. But I had to call him about something. He's a very well-known attorney in Wisconsin who's done a lot of great work. And we were commiserating about the state of the world. And I said, I think I've learned more about human nature in the last few years than I ever have, and what I've learned has not made me happy in any way. And he said, well, I think of the first book of the Bible, and I'm thinking, you do? And he said, the Garden of Eden. And God says, Adam and Eve eat from the tree of knowledge. This is the story. Adam and Eve eat from the tree of knowledge, and they hide from God because he had told them not to. And God says, I guess, where are you? And my friend said, just the fact that God had to ask where they were shows he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, why the hell? He has only 2 human beings to keep track of, and he doesn't know where they are in the Garden of Eden somewhere. And he asks Adam, did you eat from the tree of knowledge? And Adam says, she made me do it, right? Eve.
Yeah.
She made me do it. And he asks Eve, did you eat? And she says, the serpent made me do it. And he said that's the story, the first story, if you're going to, get biblical, of the first humans, and their immediate reaction is not to take responsibility.
Yeah. I was thinking that, when everybody, they what is it? I see the problem or something like that, and it is us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Why you keep, well, the Russians are hacking. No, yes, they're doing that. They're trying to, but it's the people falling for it.
Right.
So, yeah, they're doing it, just because, what did I say? It was, just because somebody gives offense doesn't mean I have to take it.
Hey, that's good. That's good. Just because somebody is offering it. Yeah. I'm offering this offense to you. You do not have to take it. That's a great thought. That's a great thought.
I want that in quotable quotes, too. That's a Clarence Butler quote.
Yeah, that's a Clarence quotable quote. That's a good one.
I've got to... What I was thinking, I said... Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Milton has sent
I'll call tomorrow.
Okay. Milton has sent another great quote from Oscar Wilde about that fits in with what you're saying, that, the people, we're looking at so many of our compatriots who know the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Exactly.
That's it.
Just one more quick thing, if I may.
Yes.
You talk about, people, you've learned a lot about human nature. So have I, recently, is that people are basically good, but they're only good to people like them. No matter, when they, themselves, that as long as people think that there are others, that's the problem. And it's gotten to the point where liberal and conservative have almost become separate races of people. They, just because of an ideology. The people are, they just instantly hate each other. Oh, he's a conservative. Oh, he's a liberal. And I'm like, yeah, as long as you're like, you have a person who's like you, you're good to them. But the others, it's the problem. The thing, you have to get rid of the idea of the other and just recognize that ideas are simply ideas. It's not the person. hate the sin, not the sinner kind of thought.
All right. Well, you're full of challenging, good thoughts today. You should have been a minister.
A minister? I like philosopher better.
Okay. You should have been a philosopher. But that's one of those stupid.
Thank you.
That's one of those stupid degrees that Roger's accountant was talking about.
This is true.
What? A philosopher?
Thank you.
Somebody's going to sit around and pay you to think? Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Little Tony says he's on Facebook and he doesn't see Blue singing Beethoven. It will be there. Well, then why'd they send me that thing that it was there? Idiots. I guess it's still loading. It's still loading. But it will be there. We're out of time. That's it. Okay, I'm sorry. Hug a tree, will ya? Hug a tree and punch anyone in the nose that cuts one down. I am serious. My rage is, I'm inconsolable in this. Absolutely. Always good to be with you. And I'll see you tomorrow, probably. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.